When you got it on?
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull up on her foot and down on her heel. When I pull like this movement that you see
Mhm.
is not me moving her leg around. That is her body unwinding. So when it stops, like it did right there, she'll feel tension building on the inside of her leg, most likely. It'll kind of get to a crescendo. It'll get stronger, 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 and then it'll release. There's the release. Kind of feels like heat released or warm butter melting. Now as I keep pulling, it's now working on the outside of her leg. So whereas most types of treatment, people are sticking their elbow in it or pushing really hard like traditional deep tissue massage, what this does is it actually unwinds and releases the fascia. It gets the whole spider web. So it's treating all the way down to the bone, under the tissue, inside the tissue. So there's one single spider web of fascia that connects every cell in your body, from the top of your head to the bottom of your toes to the tips of your fingers. Every single cell is connected. And so what I do is I gently pull or push and allow your body to unravel. Just like if you took a ball of saran wrap, grabbed the two ends and pulled, it would flip and turn as it unwinds itself. Your body has a similar ability. And so we're tapping into that in order to release and unwind. And so it makes a permanent change. And it takes it from feeling like leather that's too tight and twisted to feeling like stretchy cotton again, so that this whole leg in just a moment will feel lighter, looser, with less restriction. So it doesn't matter how old you are. I treat 5-day-old infants all the way up to older people, and usually 1 to 2 sessions I get the pain gone. If somebody's over 40, 60, I might need 1 or 2 more to make it stay. But that's what makes this different. But that's her moving, I'm just pulling. It doesn't matter, I can pull arms, legs, ears, neck, and your body will unwind and release. There, it just released. So now I'm gonna push, and I'm pushing down and across. So most people, IT bands, they're using all kinds of stuff to try to stretch their IT bands, when really what they end up doing is ripping the fascia. So anytime you get in there and get aggressive with fascia and really try to push through the tissue, scrape through the tissue with scraping tools, whatever, you actually tear the fascia, which in the long run actually causes it to heal back tighter. I don't know anything in your body that you rip that heals back looser. So a lot of deep tissue massages and things like that, where they're very aggressive with the tissue, in the long run makes your whole fascial system tighter, which causes your head and neck to get tight. Because once your whole system's tight, it kind of shoves your head into your body. So unfortunately, a lot of people are walking around with compression on their head and neck, which causes headaches, migraines, TMJ, sinus issues, tinnitus, the ringing in the ears, all kinds of stuff, plantar fasciitis. And really it's just you have a onesie with hoodie, footy, and gloves from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. That's all connected. And when it gets tight, it starts to shove all your joints together. And we now know that fascia can put up to 2,000 pounds per square inch of force on blood vessels, nerves, joints. So it literally can crush you. And unfortunately, the medical community has not paid any attention to it, although this technique's been around 60 years. The guy who teaches it's somewhere in his 80s, still teaching. But we're so busy trying to rip and tear it instead of just letting it unwind. But once we release it, on both legs, I release her sacrum in the middle. It'll make her loosey-goose. Then all she has to do is keep it in alignment for a couple of weeks, and it'll tighten down the sacroiliac joint, which is the one on the back of your bottom right here. That'll tighten down, and once it tightens down in a good way, then it stabilizes your pelvis, and the rest of your body that I've also loosened up can stack like it's supposed to, instead of being tilted. Whether you're sitting or standing right now, this leg is shorter or this SI joint is shorter, and either way, it's gonna tilt your body. Then you have to tilt back, and that gives you the scoliosis. Get your butt straight, and we get your foundation straight, then your house can right itself. It's typically what happens.
So you said that her pelvis was tilted, the right side was tilted to anterior and the left side was tilted posterior?
Yeah, so she doesn't seem to have an upslope, but, so here's your pelvis,
Mm-hmm.
there's your sacrum,
Mm-hmm.
okay? So that's all there is. There's just two sides in the middle. And right now, not exaggerating, that's about how you came in. So when you're standing, that puts you like this. So you can see how that does. And when you put the sacrum back in, it's tilted sideways and twisted. So that's what you're stacking on. So your whole body is just tilted. So no matter what you're doing, you can't possibly stand or sit correctly. And probably half the population's there. Most adults are too. Because if you pick up something really heavy and twist, or men especially are big on picking up stuff and tossing it. I grew up as a country girl, so I think of bales of hay, but you think of, somebody picking up like suitcases and throwing them up into the car or stuff like that. Guys tend to get put in that position more than women, but that's what usually will throw the pelvis out. Once it's out, then you've got a short leg, then the whole shebang starts. But that's one of the things I want to go back and get my PhD and prove, is that at least 80-90% of scoliosis is just SI joint that was never treated, because they're trying to say basically that the idiopathic scoliosis, idiopathic just means they don't know.
Right.
And they're trying to say idiopathic scoliosis is like your back just twisted for no reason and pulled your butt out of alignment. That doesn't make a lot of sense. And I have 5-day-old infants whose pelvises are rotated. But if your foundation's crooked, your body, you're not the Leaning Tower of Pisa, so you're gonna have to twist and twist in order to keep your head level. So I believe that if we address the pelvis, we can address the body. But this is the only technique that literally goes back in time and releases the fascia back to the way it was before. Everything else is just symptom management, which is very frustrating. People have been in pain for a long time and don't have to be. But this technique is too weird for most PTs. They don't learn about it in school, so they assume that it's not scientifically based, which it is, so they won't take the classes. And the classes are really expensive for a massage therapist to take, because they have to be off work and travel, and they're $700 a piece. So it's too weird for PTs and too expensive for massage therapists. So it's fallen in a crack in between.
Where do you take the classes at?
All over the country. So John likes beautiful places. It was awful. I had to go to Cape Cod, Massachusetts,
Oh, no.
Ocean City, Maryland, 4 trips to Sedona, Arizona, Naples, Florida, Chicago. He comes here occasionally, but not very often. He comes to Texas.
His name is
usually
John?
John Barnes. He has a clinic in Sedona and a clinic in Melbourne, Pennsylvania. And I've gone to the one in Sedona and spent a week treating alongside him and his staff at his clinic, and called a skills enhancement. People go there for intensives, and they stay there for 2 weeks at a time and get 15 hours of treatment per week. It's a lot for people who've had like major car accidents, major issues that have never resolved. And John even talks about in class that he had somebody with severe scoliosis and had rods all the way in their back that they actually unwound around the rods, and they come back every so often to get kind of a tune-up. But so just to feel the difference, take your ankles and go like this. Feel how loose your right one is. You feel the difference. Bend this knee up and down. Bend this knee. Feel how that feels. And feel this one. You feel the difference? Yeah.
It's stiff.
This one's stiff, yeah. Yeah, so we're just taking the straight jacket off your body. So imagine by the time we get up to your neck and shoulders where you're feeling most of the pain, right, in your back. I haven't released your sacrum yet, so the back of your behind's still going to be a little tight, but I'm going to fix that in a second. So that's her stopping. All I'm doing is just leaning back like I'm skiing, letting her body lead me. So you can't really hurt anybody with this technique for the fact that I'm not controlling what happens. I'm just following her. If your body doesn't want me to do it, it won't take me there. Of course, I laugh because I say it's really cool because your body does all the work and I get all the credit because nobody ever believes me. They all think I'm moving you. But yeah, to do this, you have to take about 14 classes to be expert. I haven't added them up, but it's somewhere around there. As far as I know, I'm the only physical therapist in Houston that's an expert, and then there's like 5 massage therapists. That's it.
So is this moving her sacrum and her, not her sacrum, her pelvis? Just lining it up?
So it's working. So the fascia is one piece from her foot to her head. So I'm not sure exactly what all it's treating. It could be treating her right shoulder for all I know. She could tell you where she's feeling it. Most of the time, first time you come in, it's just working where you see it, which is close to where you're working. But if this was her 3rd or 4th time, or somebody who's come back for additional treatments, I could be here and they feel it in their right ear. Crazy, but that's true. It's all one piece of fascia. It's one single spider web that connects everything. But mostly I'm unwinding from her hips and waist down. And then I'll do her sacrum, and then I'll do her low back, neck, shoulders, on her stomach, and then I'll turn her over and do her arms, neck, head. And being young, we kind of get to move through it a little faster, although, of course, the scoliosis, she's had a lot of tightness for a lot of years. When did you get diagnosed?
I got diagnosed in 6th grade.
6th grade?
So I was 13, now I'm 19. Wait, no, I was 11.
11, yeah.
11. Were you playing sports or anything?
No, I was just, I mean, I looked like pretty funky because I was like morphed into something because of my shoulder. So it was kind of obvious at that point.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be doing scoliosis tests at my elementary school, but they skipped those every year. So, yeah, they kind of messed up. Where they put that little meter thing on your back.
Yeah. Switch with them, I'll be right here. So it's just waiting for the tissue to release. Did y'all have to drive very far?
Not really.
That's good.
Yeah, it's like 28 minutes.
That's good.
But I mean, we're kind of in the gallery. She's in the gallery, yeah, sort of.
Gotcha.
Inside the loop, but
yeah,
not far.
Yeah, I have people drive from an hour away, 2 hours away, Waco, fly in from other state. There's not very many of us out there.
What does it feel like when you feel it release?
It feels kind of like warm butter melting, or kind of like when I get totally done, it feels like you're floating. Your whole body feels lighter. Even when you're laying on the table, after I've treated one leg, most people say it feels like that leg feels like it's floating off the table, or it feels like it weighs nothing, and you can feel the weight of the other leg. But it's basically the idea of if you had pants that were one size, one leg was too small and one leg was loose, it just feels, you can feel that compression that you didn't know was there until you take it off, and then you're like, whoa. But it really becomes like twisted pantyhose right here at your waist, and so it puts pressure on internal organs, everything.
Yeah.
And, I believe it's a reason that a lot of women end up having to have C-sections is their pelvises are rotated. It's why I had mine. My pelvis was rotated and upslipped. I played sports and basketball, volleyball, track, drill team, color guard. It's a small school. So we all played everything, right? And played football on the side of the house with my brother, and taught myself gymnastics without a mat on the side of the house on the grass. So my pelvis was both rotated and upslipped. And when I had my C-section, they said that it was more oval than round inside. Well, once you take a nice open pelvis and twist it and then upslip it, you're gonna have an oval opening instead of a nice round opening. And so even though my son was 9 pounds and my brother was 11 and a half and my mother was much smaller, I wasn't able to have mine and she could have hers. I never got past a 5. Even though they increased Pitocin all day, I never was able to have him. So that's another area that I really want to focus on, is trying to change the processes during childbirth, because that little stick thing we just did, I've had 2 women do it during childbirth and actually resulted in the baby coming right out afterwards. So there's lots of things that this applies to down the road that we need to be addressing. So I'll go get my PhD. I've always wanted to do it anyway. Got like 3 or 4 theories that I wanna research. Because we've got to get the medical community to pay attention. They're not going to pay attention until we do some good standardized research projects.
Yeah. And I think money talks.
Yeah, that's the other one I want to do to get people interested. I can take any athlete, any sport, put them on my table for 2 hours. Whatever you measure to see if they're good at what they do, whether it's running, jumping, throwing, I believe I can make them better, that they'll still be better a week later and 6 months later, but they won't lose what I do. And I've already had a softball player who came in, who was pitching in her 60s, got an injury, was pitching in her 50s, and she came in, and the next day after I treated her, she was pitching in her 70s, which is a huge change with just 1 session of therapy.
So 70 miles an hour?
She's going to go to A&M, so she needs it. So she's come in a couple more times just for performance. But that's where you get the money to talk. If you can show that it works on athletes.
Yeah.
Biggest problem we have is that this generation, her age and younger, is they play one sport year round now. Whereas we played multiple sports, they do in-season, off-season, and league play. And so they're year-round doing the same rotations, the same motions, same muscles. So we're getting a lot more pelvic rotations and things that I used to not see quite as specifically. But if you're pitching year-round, the same rotation, then your body's going to get tight in that rotation. There it goes. All right, bend your knees. Bend both of them. Put your feet down. Yeah, there. Now, lift your bottom. Come down on my hand. You're not going to hurt me. Put your feet apart just a little bit more. So I've got that sacrum that I showed you a minute ago that was in the back. on my hand. I'm gonna pull towards your feet. So I've just got my hand underneath pulling this way. It's gonna move to one side, stop, move to the other side, stop, and then it's gonna move in circles. It's gonna feel like there's a hole in the table. It's a little creepy, but it works. So what I'm doing is getting that SI joint loosened up because your sacrum is stuck sideways. It's locked in a rotated kind of side bent way. So by pulling towards your feet and getting it released and unwinding it, again, that's you moving, not me. In a second, it'll just start going like this. Yours has been like this for a couple of days, years. Takes a minute. And a lot of chiropractors, therapists, they can diagnose the pelvis and see that it's out of alignment, and they might get it back in alignment. But if they don't do the sacral releases and the other things to make sure it doesn't go back out, by the time you get to your car, you're just back out again.
Mm-hmm.
Lift your butt, which is probably some of it down. What she's been through already is temporary relief. My goal is to be a cure, not a band-aid. And in people that haven't had hardware, I've yet to have anybody with scoliosis that hasn't had any surgeries, not to make a full recovery. And with yours being such a soft surgery with the tether, I'm hoping that you see the same thing with you. There it goes. Good. There's the hole in the table. You feel it?
Oh yeah.
Is that weird?
It dropped down.
Yeah. And that's just your sacrum released. You've just not felt what it feels like to be released. Now you can bridge and you'll see it feels a lot different. Lift your butt. See how it feels nice and loose.
Yeah.
All right. Are you okay laying on your stomach?
Yes.
Okay, let's get on your stomach. Yes, sir? And then arms up there somewhere, just however you need to be comfortable. I'm just working along that line of the SI joint.
Mm-hmm.
Getting the rest of the ligaments to loosen up.
Yeah,
So,
that's the release right there.
yeah. But you can already see that her butt's even,
Mm-hmm.
and that her back is from here down. You'd never know she had scoliosis right now. It's already been fixed. Whereas when she came in, she was really arched and uneven. Now she's all even. And it'll take, at least 2, maybe 3 sessions to get all this to be released to the point that it stays, but most cases I've been able to. I'm just working along the joint line, pulling, waiting till it lets go, and then moving again.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like pulling on taffy, and the taffy just kind of releases and just kind of feels like, ah.
Is this the bad scapula, Leia?
This is the one that's retracted and rounded, the one I've got my hand on. But I have people with twisted, the scapula's twisted. I have people with really rounded in the thoracic area, like their backs will be this high, and I actually flatten them out. Just a few sessions. Cool. It is really fun because you can't get the shoulders back until you get the rounding out of the upper back, and I've had some great success with that. Fixing posture in 1 to 2 sessions where people have been working on it for years, and it just unwinds and releases. And doing it without having to hurt anyone is really the fun part.
Yeah.
You don't have the downside of having to dig in and cause pain. So just like I was doing on the other, all I'm doing is just pushing down and pulling this way and giving a little bit of a opposite pull the other direction for a cross hand.
Oh, good. A little early. How you doing?
So now I'm just pushing away with both hands because that scapula is so pulled out and rounded, and her ribs are. Then I'm just gonna push, and then they'll kind of like riding a wave. They're just gonna unwind. I'm just kind of following it. If anything's too much, let me know. If you feel any pain anywhere.
Aside from the fact that I'm suffocating in the mattress, it feels good.
Your face on the mattress. Yeah. You can put one hand under your chin if you need to.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I was trying to like cover my nose.
Just like breathing's optional. Otherwise, I'm good.
Yeah.
Digging the sarcasm.
I would say Leia's in a much better mood now.
Yeah, I was really stressed because I'm supposed to have a surgery soon. And I don't want it because it's a rod.
It's what?
It's a rod.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna
fine.
If you do, I'd be shocked.
Somehow my mom jumped from getting a tether to getting a rod, and I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah. Back surgery itself is just scary.
Yeah, I was young, so I didn't really care much about the first time.
Yeah, didn't have a chance to process and just trust that if it was important, it's okay.
How many inches can she gain from this?
I don't care about my height anymore.
Even people who don't have full-on scoliosis, even if they just come in for back pain or neck pain, it's usually enough that they have to adjust the rearview mirror and change the seat from just one session. I had a lady actually get in her car and she went online and freaked out. And she said, "Oh my God." She was like, "I thought somebody had been in my car. All my mirrors were messed up." And I was sitting there freaked out, like, who's been in my car? And then I realized I was just taller. But yeah, it can, just with what I've already done, she's probably got another 3/4 of an inch, if not more. Yeah, on my website, there's a lady who flew in from Florida. She put her testimony on there, and she flew in from Florida because a friend told her she had to come see me, and she had scoliosis so bad that she was on her toe on one leg. She couldn't even put her foot down. She was, I think she's 50 something, and a pharmacist. So she's on her feet all day long. And so her friend flew her in. I said, well, at least do 2 hours, 2 days in a row. That'll get 4 hours in, you know. And that was kind of what she could afford and everything. So she did it. She walked out. You could barely tell she had scoliosis, and she had no pain. First time in probably 30 years. And that was just 4 hours of treatment for somebody who's older. I get people in their 20s and teens all the time who have scoliosis, and in one session I get rid of it in a lot of times. Just super exciting. There it goes. You can already see how much
Wow.
flatter.
Holy cow.
It's almost gone.
Wow.
And
Leia.
it's all flexible. See, it moves. It's good stuff. Just doing a cross hand, letting my hands move. You'll see they're kind of like on a wave. It's just, that's her body moving under my hands.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm still doing is pushing down and across. And now my hands are further apart.
Mm-hmm.
That's how much tissue elongation I've gotten. I haven't moved them. I've just elongated all the tissue between them. Okay, switch, put this one under your head, put this one over the side. As you can see, she's barely guided.
Wow. I mean, just wow. That is amazing, Leia.
Now that I've kind of released on both sides, I'm going to get this side while I get right on her spine.
Can I let my head fall or no?
Huh?
Can I let my head fall?
Yeah, absolutely. So now I'm just right on the curvature on her spine, and I'm just gently letting it unwind. So I'm pushing this one towards her butt and this one towards her head, and then just waiting. So there, it stopped. That's a restriction where it's kind of stuck. But literally her spine can just unravel itself. Which they'll tell you can't be done, but it does all the time. Now, don't be surprised when you bend over to pick up your shoes or do something today or tomorrow that your back doesn't go pop, 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 pop. Okay, it's totally normal for that to happen. Don't let it scare you. What happens a lot of times when it's been this twisted for this long is that as I take the straitjacket off your entire body, the discs that were smashed and sideways and flattened out from all the compression of the spring shape, the S shape that your back is, they're going to be able to imbibe fluid again. I'm taking the compression off of them. So over the next couple of days, those discs will be like sponges and take in fluid and spread out. As they spread out, your vertebra gets spread out, and then when you bend over or do something where you kind of open up the vertebra, when you flex forward or whatever, sometimes they'll just put themselves back in. It's like your own little adjustment. And I've had people get off the table and bend over, and you hear pow, 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 pow. It sounds like a machine gun because everything put itself back in. So it's a possibility you might have a couple of them put themselves
Her hips
back
look
in.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just rotated.
Wow.
Yeah, you'd never know there was anything wrong from her
No,
hips down.
look at that. I mean, they look so straight.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just rotated.
That is unbelievable.
It's awesome. So
It's
fun.
all about the pelvis.
Yep. It's my belief.
I think you're right. The problem is that the pelvis can move on both sides, and in medicine we're not really taught that. We just assume that it's like one whole piece, but it's not. It actually, there's ligamentum in there that
Yeah.
allows both sides to move.
Yeah. Well, there's actually people out there perpetuating that the pelvis doesn't move at all. And I'm just frustrated with it all because I've cured so many people that I've heard for 30, 40 years, been to every doctor, spine specialist, chiropractor, and the textbooks are wrong. At
Yeah,
this point,
That's the bottom line.
30% of the textbook in every medical school is wrong. They would have to rewrite them all if they understood that the fascia is like if you had a fishnet that had straws running through it. The minute you twist it, then you put up to 2,000 pounds per square inch of force on the nerves going through it, just like if you twisted it on straws or took twisted pantyhose. If you've ever worn a shirt too small and twisted at the arm, it can cut off circulation. So every time somebody's got numbness in their hand or their foot or, peripheral neuropathies and blah, 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 we think all of it's coming from the spine. And it's just not true. You can actually occlude a peripheral nerve just by twisted fascia. So they'll tell you, nerve pain can't run from your arm up, or it can't start at your shoulder or your waist, at your hip. And it's all not true. Even the fact that we keep calling everything piriformis syndrome, we keep stretching the piriformis muscle. Well, the origin insertion of the piriformis muscle is attached to the sacrum and the pelvis. So when the pelvis is rotated, you stretch the origin away from the insertion. So
Right.
of course the muscle's tight. You put the pelvis back in and the muscle's fine. If some therapist hasn't stuck their elbow in it 20 times, trying to stretch it bigger than it can be, thinking that everything is about the piriformis being tight, when really it's just the pelvis is out of alignment.
I mean, wow. Your shoulder, your scapula is right in place, Leia.
Now our spine's almost straight. It's out right there. Let's see. I've almost got her spine straight.
Wow.
So if we do the spine, just a little curve there and a little one down here.
Yeah.
Am I messing it up by putting my head like this?
Is it starting to get tight on the back of your head?
No, I'm just wondering if I'm messing your work.
No, you're not messing anything up. No, you're totally fine. If you go straight, she puts her head
You
straight.
can really see how straight it is.
There's barely any curve at all. We've got a little curve here and a little curve there. Pretty much fixed it. That's where you need one more session after she's kind of reorganized and everything to get rid of the rest of it. And what I actually do is I get somebody to hold her feet and I pull her arms and I unwind in between and the whole body unwinds. In babies, I can pull their head and their butt at the same time and their whole bodies will unwind. So it's kind of fun. All right, on your back.
God, you look so much taller already, too.
And see, sitting, look, her shoulders
Yeah.
are, look how even her.
Yeah, they're even. Unbelievable.
See, she's laying straight now.
Yeah. Look at you.
The same thing, I'm just pulling her arm and it's unwinding. There's the restriction. She's feeling it up in her shoulder, neck, anywhere up there. How do I know? I've done this a couple of times. Most people feel it all the way up to their ear, but at least into your neck.
My neck just like did a thing where
Yeah.
it just relaxed.
Yeah. Sorry, phone's ringing off the.
That's good.
Yeah, I get these results all day, so. I haven't done advertising since September of 2020. I've been fully booked a month out, and at least half of my clients are new every week. So it's neat to just keep healing people. I do scar tissue too, so anybody that has scars that are tight or whatever, I do scar tissue externally, but I can also release it internally. So you've already been talking to somebody about the rods, or have you
Yeah.
gotten the tests and everything done? And
Not yet. That will happen on May 11th.
Yeah, May 11th.
when was your last scan before that?
The X-ray.
February.
Huh?
February 20th, something like that. I can show it to you if you want to see
No,
it.
it'd be cool to compare the two.
I'd love to get an X-ray right after you
Yeah.
finish and see what it looks like. But the only definitive thing I know is if she gets taller, then we know that
Yeah.
things got straight. You know,
Yeah.
there's been a significant change.
Yeah, no, you will. I'm guessing with what I did with the spine and her pelvis, she's probably about 1.5 inches at least.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm about to get her shoulders back and get her head out of her neck too. So that's her whole shoulder blade rotating and moving. Probably haven't had that much movement in a ton of years. Now I'm just coming up her spine with my fingers, just very gently, while putting a backwards force on her shoulder. So it's kind of opening up all this, getting the rest of that
Mm-hmm.
curvature out of the upper back. I'm just glad you got in here before they were about to do that procedure.
Yeah.
Pretty much got the rest of her upper back. So your homework is going to be to keep your pelvis straight. So once a day for the next 2 weeks, because I basically made your butt loosey-goosey. So I've got all your SI joint and everything very loose, okay? I did that so I could get rid of all the bad stuff pulling you out of alignment, but now it's loosey-goose. It's going to take a couple of weeks for it to tighten down in a good way. Your sacroiliac joint is supposed to be a secure, tight joint. Those ligaments are supposed to be tight in a good way and hold you stable. Because they've been stretched out since you were a kid, in that rotation on the right side was rotated forward. The ligaments are loose in that way, so they're going to kind of tend to go back out the same way. So most likely your right leg will be shorter every day, okay? So if it's shorter, you're going to stick that stick under your right leg, over your left, push down, push up. So just pick up a PVC pipe, a stick of some kind, put a towel around it if you want to keep it from bothering you. And once a day, check it. If it's out, put it in. If it's not out, leave it alone. You don't want to push it the other direction, okay?
How many
Do that for a
times?
couple of weeks,
times?
just once or twice. Usually one good push is all you need, because again, I've made it loosey-goose.
Can we try it again? Just so
Oh
I
yeah,
can
we're gonna
read
go
it?
over it at the end. And your dad will have it on video, so we're good.
Yeah, it's funny.
And then you just squeeze something, so you can put a yoga block in between or something like that, and just squeeze it. And that way you can kind of take control of it. And then it's just getting rid of bad habits for the most part, which is, I'm just getting her sternum and everything moving. It's called a thoracic inlet release. Just getting all this moving again. It's all been locked and twisted, so that's a lot of what we'll do next time, is work on all the different things that kind of still are kind of there pulling her out. There it goes. Now you can take a nice deep breath. Probably haven't been able to breathe that easily in a while.
What do you think, Leia?
Well, honestly, I don't really take like deep breaths because I have like a small breath issue, but that's pretty nice.
You have a what?
I have a hard time taking deep breaths, like inhaling.
Because of the twist?
Well, I would assume so. Now it's
Yeah.
nice though.
Now she can take deep breaths. Makes a huge difference with exercise and doing stuff when you don't have to breathe shallow. Because that's probably a lot of the flaring that we're seeing here, is just that she's had to use her stomach more or less to breathe because her ribs were twisted and locked down. So it doesn't allow her ribs to expand. So now she should be able to do that.
So you're saying that this looks like it can come down?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of just her ribs are flared and everything.
How about her flat feet syndrome?
What's that?
How about her flat feet? And her, she kind of walks kind of like that.
So I've already fixed that. That was her IT bands being tight.
Mhm.
So when she stands, she'll probably already have them forward. She's kind of had to do that somewhat because her pelvis was twisted and her hips were tight, but I've already loosened all that. So she'll stand and walk with her feet straight. Plus, her ankle range was a little tight too, but I've already addressed that too, so she should be better. It's just habits at this point. That was me.
I felt like it was me for some reason.
No, that was my knuckles. I have one knuckle that every time I do this, it likes to pop. It always makes people think it's them. She's actually not that tight. She's loosening up very nicely. I'm just pulling on both of her upper traps and letting them unwind. because her right leg or right hip was the one anteriorly rotated. This left upper trap is twice as thick as her right because she's been forced to sit kind of like this. So these muscles on this left side never get to turn off. So I'm just releasing all that tight tension. Because at some point when you're tilted sideways, what eventually happens is the fascia within the muscle, because muscles are basically fascia with goo, the actin myosin filaments being the goo. The fascia is the structure. When you're sitting all day, every day, what ends up happening is the fascia has the ability to support the muscle, because muscles can't possibly fire 24 all day long. So the fascia, there's ground substance. Fascia is actually tubules of electrified fluid. It's not actually what we think of as fibrous tissue. It's actually tubules that have connections. And so the ground substance that surrounds every piece of the fascia can solidify in order to create more like leather than stretchy cotton. So it'll solidify to support the muscle, and that's where we get a lot of the muscle tension, where people have their shoulders feel like rocks. It's really just that fascia solidifying to support the muscle that can't possibly stay on all day, every day. And what this does is once you gently pull and let the body unwind, then that fascia will go back to liquefy. It can reverse the process. Same thing whenever you get in a car accident and you see the car coming, your body has an ability, your fascial system has an ability to solidify and then liquefy. So the fascia is pretty fascinating that way. And we now know it connects every cell, bone, muscle, tendon, ligament. Every cell in your body to the cellular structure is connected. That's still her, she just lifted up. Now we're getting down in between those shoulder blades. All the people that sit at desks, this is heaven. It's right inside that shoulder blade from where you get that nice achy, deep pain. There's the restriction, we just wait. Till our body releases. There's another one. So we're getting down into that right side where all that scapular stuff is. See how it's just stopping and starting and stopping. It's working all inside there. You saw the left side wasn't like this. So you can tell the difference when it's working on one thing versus another. You're amazing at relaxing, by the way. If all my patients were this relaxed, I'd be in good shape.
I've been prodded on a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure this isn't your first rodeo. But you're doing great. I've had one patient that's come 4 times, 3 times, and I'm having the most difficult time getting progress because she's like on, off, on, off, on, off the whole time I'm treating. I'm like, oh, just relax. If you could relax, I could totally do this.
It's kind of like a kite.
Yeah, that's what I tell people. It's a hot air balloon. Just let your head float. That was my wrist. It's right by your ear. Now I'm just leaning back, pulling her head towards me, letting it unwind. Use her cheekbone as kind of like a little bit of a handle. That and the occipital protuberances on the back of her head. So I'm assuming you're medical on some level. What do you do?
I run life support and heart surgery.
Okay.
I have a degree in exercise physiology.
So you know. I got my bachelor's in psychology. I didn't want to take organic chemistry or micro. Also didn't want to be a I didn't want to be a biology teacher if I didn't get into PT school.
Mm.
And 90 students got in out of 500, so I had to pay my way through school, so I wasn't sure I was going to get in, so I figured if I didn't get into PT school, I'd be a psychologist. Lucky for you, I just got in. Been a PT 26 years this year, or 27 this fall. It's good stuff. I'm actually a neuro PT, so I spent most of my time working in head injury and stroke rehab.
Mm-hmm.
Taught college for 5 years. Was teaching college and running the program when I was 27. That's pretty crazy. But lots of fun. I love teaching, obviously. There it goes. Now it's going to release your skull. So I'm going to squeeze it. It's pretty wild. The skull will actually rotate too.
Mm-hmm.
It usually is tight, opposite of what the pelvis is in general. It's kind of like what's rotated one direction down there is rotated different direction up here. I'm just squeezing her head, and all this movement is her moving with me just put compression on her head and pulling back towards me.
Will this help with my jaw?
Say again?
Will this help with my jaw?
Oh God, yes.
I have a tightness and sometimes it pops and goes out of line.
Yeah, so most TMJ issues are a butt issue. Your pelvis is rotated, your body is tilted, which in your case turned into full-blown scoliosis, but even just the average adult who has jaw pain, 9 times out of 10, you fix their pelvis, get their body aligned. Because this was tilted, it's pulling on this side of your jaw. So it pulls from your shoulder all the way up to your jaw.
That makes sense.
So when we release everything, that stops pulling. And then I'm gonna do the same thing I've been doing for everything else with your jaw. I'm gonna push in and push down. And then I release the masseter muscle, which is the one you use to clench and to chew with. If I release that, usually I can get it to, again, might take another session before I get everything released. Makes a big difference. So I'm just squeezing my hands together, even though it is one bone. I mean, the mandible is one bone. It still responds by squeezing it and then pushing it towards her chin. So I'm pushing in and down and waiting for her to move or stop. There's a restriction. Just wait.
Did you already know, right? You already did it feel neurological? Yeah. Okay, so don't put well, it feels like more relaxed. It is. So don't put it on the I don't want to. Okay. So once you get I mean, let's try it. Should we just try it? I mean, we already know. Okay. Yeah. I don't think we've even
Now I'm doing the masseter muscle. And then on everybody, I always do the ears, and then their sphenoid, which is on either side of the eyes. Otherwise, they end up with a headache. So it's like I've been pulling down on the whole system all this time, and if I don't release the sphenoid, then they're like, well, my body feels great, my head feels horrible, thank you. So that's your ears moving on their own too. I know, creepy, but cool. A lot of times I feel it behind my sinuses. You can feel it in kind of your head.
Also, I used to get frequent migraines until I started the keto diet.
Yeah.
I still get them, but not as bad and not as often.
Yeah, they'll just getting your whole body released, because if you're on keto, it decreases some of the inflammation from some of the other dairy and stuff like that. Then with that or whatever, what it does is when you have inflammation, your body's already tight from you being twisted, and your fascial system being tight, then all that stuff has a bigger effect. But yeah, it should help. I get rid of migraines and headaches in seconds. I used to joke and say it's a Vulcan mind meld, because when I do it in front of somebody, it looks like I'm going like this on their head. But I can get rid of most people's pain and tightness. And just in a restaurant or something, a friend of mine will be like, oh, my head's hurting. I'm like, come here. In a couple of seconds, I can get rid of a headache or a migraine. It's pretty cool. Faster than Tylenol. Here's the sphenoid release. So you have a sphenoid bone that's right behind your eyes and in your forehead. Mm-hmm. And it rocks forward and back. And it's supposed to rock a little bit. When our fascia gets really tight, it kind of just sits like a batting ram and just hits the front of your head. And that's why we get those throbbing headaches. And so what this does is open up that fascia so that it can start moving back and forth again. That's how we get rid of a lot of migraines. Sinus headaches and stuff like that.
We need to take Mom here.
Mm-hmm.
Partially so she can see this, and also so she can get one. She probably needs one.
She definitely needs one.
Heck, you probably need one.
Yeah. Thanks, Leia.
I always laugh when people bring in their infants that are like 2 weeks old and they watch the baby, and like one the other day, she got done and the baby was hungry, but it just laid there like with his arms and legs straight, and he was just dazed and confused, like he was so relaxed. He was like, I don't care about anything. She was like, I need this. The parents watch the babies, they'll sign up for an appointment before they leave. It's really fun. In 20 minutes I can take any like tight infant with them all bunched up, even if they're a few days old, and they'll lay like this. It's pretty cool. All right, so we got to go over what to do when you get home. So, come on where you are. So, get a stick, put something on it. I'll show you how to check your ankles in a second when you sit up. So we're gonna say that you checked your ankles already. That's the first step, is check your ankles, but since you're already laying down, let's do this part first. So you checked your ankles and your right leg was shorter. Show me what to do. See if you remember.
Sit with this leg?
Yep.
What happens with this leg?
So just
I
keep
just
it,
press
and you're
that
at
leg?
90. So you wanna be at 90, which is where you're at. Now you just lift this other leg to the bar. Now you're just gonna push down with this one, up with that one, hold the bar still. Ready? Push, 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 and stop. Don't go too long because you're in. So. And then you can get a yoga block or a ball or something and push it. And you may get a pop in your pubic symphysis. It'll be sometimes a loud pop. It's okay if you don't, it's okay if you do, okay? That's just that little disc that's in the front of your pelvis. It kind of pops in place sometimes if it's out very much, and it's okay if it does that. Now, sit up. Push up beyond you. Legs out straight. Ankles together. So, see how they're even? When you started today, this one was up here.
Oh.
Okay? So you were that much out before. Now they're perfectly even. Okay? Make sure your knees are straight when you do this at home. You may have to lean back, and that's okay. you haven't been able to really stretch your hamstrings because your back was so twisted. But now you can, okay? Now turn and sit. Stand up, walk around, take it for a spin. Dizziness should be gone now. Should feel really weird. You're so used to being tilted that being straight's gonna feel a little funky at first.
Your head is straight.
So just slightly bent, which will take a few days for your body to kind of get
Wow.
used to it. How's it feel? Weird?
I still have a migraine, but that's just how mine.
Oh, you do
brain
have a
works.
migraine? Did
Yeah.
you have one when you came in?
No, it's probably all the stuff though. You know.
Yeah. Let's do a little bit more of a sphenoid release real quick. I should be able to get rid of it for you. So go ahead and lay on your back for a couple more minutes. Let me try a couple of things, make sure I get rid of it. Where's your headache?
It's kind of just exactly where
Okay.
it is, right?
Okay. Just need to do a little bit more of this, so just relax your neck.
Wow.
Couldn't tell she had scoliosis. can
No,
you?
you can't. She's actually totally in line.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really fun that you filmed it. There it goes. What about now? She's thinking about it.
I'm thinking about it. Like I actually have to think because I'm like feeling.
Like tension.
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit of. I think it's still there, but it's like not like the usual.
It's
migraines.
very, yeah, it's very light.
Just feels like it's sprinkling instead of a full blown storm.
Right. And everything in your body is going to reorganize over the next 2 days. So where it'll feel tight in one area and not in another, and it's kind of going to just, you've got a whole reorganization going on. So don't be surprised. You can learn to treat this on your own too. Take 2 fingers and put them right here on that soft spot of your head. Now what you're going to do, relax your elbows kind of on your chest a little bit. Just kind of put them down a little bit. Yeah. Now just kind of gently push in and push up towards the ceiling, not towards me, towards the ceiling. That's okay. And you're just gonna relax your arms, relax your fingers, just gently. Now watch as it moves. Expect it to move and follow it.
Well, you're more experienced than I am at this.
You're doing it. I'm just barely touching you.
Kind of feels like the Force.
Feels like what?
The Force. Like it's a Star Wars reference.
The Force, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically you're just gonna expect it to move and it will. You can do this for about 10 minutes at night, especially anytime you have a migraine. And you can do it sitting, standing, laying down, and you can unwind it yourself, and it can help you get rid of your own headaches. That's how I get rid of mine.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, just practice it. You'll get better at it as you do it.
Wait, you just gave away one of your trade secrets.
Oh, that's all right. The more people who know, the more people who do this, the better.
Okay, yeah, I'm not that good at it yet.
That's okay, but it gives you some power to do it yourself. So go ahead and sit up. So when you do it in sitting, you can go ahead and sit up. When you do it in sitting, it just looks like this. You just take the 2 fingers, put them on either side in that soft spot, like you're sinking into sand. So you push in, and then you just expect your neck to move, and it'll kind of look like this. That's me unwinding right now. And you just follow it. It'll stop and start.
Does the unwind ever end?
And then,
Does the unwind ever end? Like
Yeah, you'll feel it kind of like water, but if you keep going, I could stay here and treat my big toe, is the idea. That's the concept, is that it's all one piece of fascia, but it works faster and better if you get close to the area that needs to be treated. All right, my dear, you are all done for today. Definitely recommend one more session to get kind of after everything organizes and reorganizes. Another session to get everything kind of moving again and get what's left over. But you should only need maybe 1, maybe 2 more sessions to get most of it, and then you might just need a follow-up every so often.
How long from now?
As soon as she can get back in.
Okay.
Schedule's pretty crazy right now.
Would you be willing to come here by yourself if I can't come, Leia?
Just an Uber, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because then anytime you have time available.
Okay. We'll take a look at the schedule. I'm gonna try to squeeze in lunch because I've got to make calls and stuff. So
Yeah.
I'll put you on there and we'll text you. Actually, let me see what I have. Just make sure you do your homework. And if for any reason you go to put yourself back in and you can't get yourself back in, you can always call. If you can't get yourself back in, you can call and do an adjustment. An adjustment's free. At the end of my day, I put people back in for free.
Mm-hmm.
And it just takes a couple of minutes. And so
Can you see the difference, Leia?
I mean, it's my body. All
Can
I
you
know
feel
is
the
that
difference?
something's different.
Yeah, she doesn't even have the scapular rotation even hardly. Looks good. So I'm gonna give her a couple of weeks for everything to kind of reorganize.
Okay.
I can do 2 o'clock on May 6th.
That's fine.
Okay. Leia.
Mm-hmm.
Spell the last name.
DeSalvio, D like Delta, I, capital S, A-L, V like Victory, I-O. How do you feel?
I mean, my jaw feels good though. Like at night, I clench it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not trying to clench it. It just happens, and I don't know, it feels nice.
I want to see how tall you are. Oh, you don't have your shoes on. So I'm still taller than you because I've got my shoes on. Look at your feet. They are a lot straighter. You normally just spend a lot of time like that. And you're definitely a lot straighter there.
So yeah, I spend a lot of time like that.
You tend to do this a lot.
Yeah, I wrote it down at the very beginning too that we call it externally rotated. Both legs were externally rotated.
Yeah, I remember Mike tried to fix that. His roommate, who's a
Massage therapist, yeah.
massage therapist.
Yeah, it's at the hips. You have to fix it at the hips. So when you release the hips and everything kind of goes back into line.
Yeah. So what you're saying, the pelvis started this all?
Yes. I believe that the pelvis rotates out, tilts everything, and then everything above it has to accommodate that because we don't sit like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. So once your butt is tilted, it collapses to one side, whether you're standing or sitting. So then your body has to go, okay, I'm not going to sit like this. So it goes here, and then it goes here. And that's where you get the S curve.
Wow, the pelvis is screwing a lot of people over right now.
It really is. I'm telling you, there's so many people that are crawling up and down their stairs, and you can look at my reviews and a lot of the people talking about stuff online, and it's really sad how many people are in chronic pain because, they don't have someone to fix it.
I wish the body weren't so complicated and flexible.
Yeah.
The left shoulder is to drop just a little bit, but it's.
Just doing something.
Yeah.
Your
it's
shoulder
got some
blade is in
normal
place.
movements
That's
and stuff.
amazing.
Just like that shit.
And how's your breathing?
It's really fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. You're all set.
Okay.
Thanks.
You're
Well,
welcome.
thank you so much. That was
All
great.
good.
All right.
You did great.
May 6th, is that right? May
What's that?
6th. May 6th at 2 o'clock.
Yes, May 6th, 2 o'clock.
Write that down.
Okay.
Somebody write that down. I don't have my phone, but write it down.
Okay.
By the way, I gave them my contact information.
Right.
Just because I know you don't ever check your emails.
So let me put you in here. Leia, capital DIS,
Nevertheless,
Uh-huh.
AL, be like Victory IO. The soul view.
I'll let you keep marveling at my straight back now. I'll put this on later.
What's your phone number?
713.
My phone number is 713-836-9944.
Because we always send out updates, and now she said that way you'll get it right before. All right, and then I'll do payment, and we are set.
Is it like a random phone number every time, or will it be like the office phone number?
It'll be the office phone number.
Okay, good. I'll
Yeah.
save that then.
Yeah, and you can always text us if there's any issues or anything. You can always text us, and we'll do payment that way too.
Cool.
We'll
Okay,
we'll do scheduling that way too.
I'm going to turn off the recording. Anything you want to say, Leia? How do you feel? Tell us about it.
Well, I feel nice.
Do you feel more comfortable now?
I mean, the plane ride was like making my spine. We just flew from Amarillo.
Yeah.
Well, we live here, but you know, and it was like bumping my spine because I was like compressing
Right.
going up.
Right.
So this feels like a lot better now that everything's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are a lot taller, Leia. Oh, you put your shoes on. Okay.
Yeah, she
I'm
got
like,
her
how did
shoes
that
on.
happen?
I grew.
But even with that, I mean, wow. She
Yeah.
definitely grew like 1.5 inches.
Yeah. Yeah. It really does that. People always laugh when they get in the car, and it's like
Dang.
we joke with them, and they're like, "By the way, I did have to move my mirror." Like they're always joking about it afterwards.
That's amazing.
And that's people who don't have severe scoliosis like she did.
Okay. Well, I guess we're signing off now. Any last comments you want to say?
The date, I guess.
Oh,
Did you
May
do that
6th.
yet?
Yeah, we got it. May 6th, 2 p.m.
He always like says the date. It's like,
Uh-huh.
and it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
The morning
Day
of.
before my
yeah.
birthday. My
The mo-
birthday's May 7th. I'll
Oh,
be 51.
nice.
Yeah.
Happy birthday almost.
Happy birthday. Wait, May?
May
May
7th.
7th.
May 7th. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Might be April, but it's never too early. Yeah.